if Rangers to have any intention at all of making even just a fight of this, never mind actually winning the league, but just to make a fight of it, they need 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 more in before Friday.
You think 5 starters, Andy?
I certainly think 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, you're thinking. I definitely think they need another centre forward, another left winger, another central midfielder, and maybe another left back, potentially another centre back. I mean, and that, obviously that's an ideal world. I think that's what Clement would be looking for. Whether he gets that, maybe unlikely. He has to sort of prioritise over the next week. If they can only get 3 or 4 in, 2 or 3 in, maybe then he has to think, right, where do we need it most? For me, I definitely another centre forward and a left winger would be the priorities. I think that's where Rangers are lacking, is that final third. I don't think they've got enough variety. I don't think they've got enough guile at times. I think they need different options. When they're coming up against different defences, there are going to be a lot of times guys sitting in, defences packed in. They're going to need to. They might have to, champ the door for an hour, then look to the bench and get somebody else that can offer something else on. So I think that's what they'll be looking for in the final days of the window. But again, it just depends on who can they get out, how much funds can they release in order to give that back to Clement and Niels Coppin to get guys in.
Rangers Easy OK again, and watching on YouTube, says it's just frustrating because Sima was so effective. We did the Cortez obligation to buy early in the window. Maybe we should have done Sima instead. You go with that, and also, again, we've not seen him play. He could be a world beater, but Ingame as well. You think it was maybe around 1.5 million. Yeah. We're speculating because maybe Sima didn't want to come back to Rangers. Who knows?
I think Sima would have come back. I think he was certainly keen. Anytime we spoke to him last season, again, much like Clement, he spoke very warmly about the setup here and his time here. I think the stumbling block was Brighton. They were at that point insisting they're holding out for as high a fee as they could get. Talking £6 million around that time. That was just a fee that Rangers were never really going to be able to reach. I think they were hoping that if they could, obviously he's into the last 12 months his contract, that if they could sort of show a bit of patience and hold their nerve, that perhaps Brighton might just go, right, give us whatever, 3 million, 4 million, and hope to knock it down. But that was always on the basis that they had the money sitting there ready and that nobody else came in. And unfortunately, both those things have not planned out as they were hoping for.
You mentioned £6 million there, Andy, which turns my attention towards Cyriel Dessers, because as he exclusively revealed himself last night, he turned down a $6 million move to Atlanta in the MLS. Steve Teal's written in, Dessers turned down a $6 million move to Atlanta. The news has literally ruined my dinner. Sorry about that, Stevie. Shirley's written in saying Dessers has the best goal-to-minutes ratio in the league. He scored in every competition. Dessers is our only highlight at the moment. Which side of the argument do you kind of fall on, Andy?
A bit like Cyriel Dessers' form at times. A bit like his form at times. I come and go with the big man's concerned. Listen, what I'll say, one, he's a gentleman, an absolute top guy whenever you get to speak to him. So I don't mean to be too harsh, but I've been critical of him. I don't think it's hard not to be, because there's times where he does things that frankly leave you bewildered, that like you're not sure what runs through his head in terms of his decision making. But then there are other times where listen, just think how bleak this season would be so far this year, this new season without him. I mean, I think that perhaps sums up where Rangers are at a team where right now they're looking at Cyriel Dessers as being the bright spark for them. So what I'll say is I think he's in decent form, and not just in terms of goals. I think he's looked far more secure in terms of his build-up play. I mean, I was down at Birmingham in pre-season, and he went from the ridiculous to the sublime at one point. I mean, he tries to lob the keeper when a lob was never on, and the 7,000 or odd fans that were down there were pulling their hair out. And the next minute, he pulls off this wonder flick for Scott Wright, and that gets them back in the game. And then, but other than that, he looked pretty just what we'd seen last season. Erratic, I think was the word. But then he goes to Berlin in pre-season, scores a couple of goals, and generally played really, really well. I thought it was it's one of the best performances I've seen from him, and I think he started that way. Obviously, I don't think he was too great against Dynamo Kiev at home, but I don't think anyone in the was that night. But other than that, I think he's, obviously he came on it against St Johnstone when Rangers are sort of missed a barrel load of goals. Obviously gets the goal, sort of semi-controversial circumstances. I think if you look at the end, it was the right decision the referee reached. But he took his goal well. I think you can see there's a bit of confidence about him. I think you can see he's holding the ball up, he's taking it in, he's shooting first time, which I think you've seen at times when he looks a wee bit hesitant. He's struggling to get that shot away when the chances are there. I think you saw the weekend, he skips past the defender and absolutely nearly takes the net off with that finish. So, listen, I think if Rangers were to lose him right now without having somebody else lined up, and obviously you're talking about Hamza Igamane, well, we've got absolutely no idea how he's going to fit into this Rangers team, whether he's ready, whether he's a project for the future, does he need to go out on loan? We've no idea. We've not seen